She pointed at me from across my own driveway and yelled, "Officer, that's him. Arrest him." He refused to pay the $3,900 HOA fine. The cop looked confused, because even he could see I wasn't scared, just tired of Karen's games. She stood there like she owned the whole neighborhood, clutching a clipboard with those fake HOA violation notes she loved to tape on everyone's door. But today she picked the wrong moment to create a scene. I kept my hands on my truck, calm, watching her act like she was the President of the United States. "He's ignoring HOA law," she snapped, and he threatened me. Of course, that was a lie. She always used those lies when she didn't get her way. The officer stepped closer to me, asking quietly, "Sir, is any of this true?" And before I could answer, Karen jumped in like she was part of the police force. "Why ask him? Just do your job and take him in." For a second, I almost laughed. She had no idea who she was dealing with, or what my wife had in her hands behind the front door. I could see my wife watching everything through the window, waiting for the right moment to walk out. Karen noticed her and muttered, "Oh, great, now the whole family is coming out to cause trouble." The cop sighed. He wasn't aggressive, just tired, like he'd been called here too many times for her nonsense. "Ma'am, it's just a fine. I can't arrest someone because the HOA says." "Yes you can." Karen snapped. "This is a serious violation. His shed breaks the neighborhood's visual harmony." The officer gave me a look like, "Is she serious?" I nodded slowly. "Every week," I said. "Every week it's something new." Karen rolled her eyes dramatically. "Well, today is the day he learns he isn't above the rules." That's when the front door opened, and my wife stepped out holding a thick folder, calm, steady, like she knew exactly how this was going to end. Karen squinted at it, confused, until my wife lifted one sealed page where the golden judge's stamp caught the sunlight. The officer's face changed instantly, his eyes went pale, his breath caught for a second, and he stepped back. Karen blinked fast. What is that?" she whispered. My wife didn't even look at her. She just said one line that made the officer straighten up like he'd stepped into a courtroom instead of a driveway. "You're going to want to read this before you put your hands on my husband." The officer took the paper from my wife like he was holding something explosive. His eyes scanned the page, and the color drained from his face even more. Karen leaned in, trying to read it, but my wife shifted slightly, blocking her view. "What is that?" Karen demanded. "Some fake document you printed at home?" The officer shook his head slowly. "Ma'am, this is a judge's order." Karen froze, and for a moment, she forgot how to blink. A judge's order? For what? Against who?" My wife finally turned her eyes toward her. "Against you," she said calmly, and Karen stumbled back a step like someone had pushed her. The officer cleared his throat, suddenly speaking to Karen in a tone meant for troublemakers, not victims. "Ma'am, did you know there's an active filing involving your HOA's violations of property boundaries and harassment claims?" Karen's jaw dropped. "Harassment? Me? I'm the one enforcing the rules. I'm keeping this place civilized." But my wife didn't argue. She let the silence do the heavy lifting, and that made Karen even more nervous. The cop handed the paper back carefully. "Sir," he said to me, "I didn't know about this. If I had, I wouldn't have responded like this." I nodded. I didn't blame him. He was stuck in the mess Karen created. Karen crossed her arms, pretending she still had control. This doesn't mean anything. An HOA can fine whoever they want. And I want him fined." My wife looked at her and said, "You want a lot of things that aren't yours." Karen's eyes narrowed, and for the first time since I met her, she looked scared. But she still didn't know the biggest twist, the one that would hit her harder than the judge's seal. Karen stepped closer again, trying to regain her confidence. "You think some paper scares me," she said loudly, even though her voice shook. Your shed breaks the code. Your truck breaks the code. Even your mailbox breaks the code. Nothing changes that. I sighed. Karen, I said quietly, I'm not in your HOA. She burst out laughing, too loud, too fake.